Do you think people geek too much? You were talking to a flat earther just so he can convince you that the earth is flat. In the end, you believed him because he gave you 2 good arguments. If that sounds like you might be 4L. Look at this video, look at the lighting, right? No more bum setup, right? I don't look like half of my face is missing, right? Like I'm trying to cosplay as Batman. Make it nice and sinister. No more. Now you see my whole face. And that's thanks to our coffee supporters. You guys supporting the channel, it's extremely helpful and we can, again, make things better. 4L, one of the best typology placements in my opinion. Genuinely. Being unbothered logic helps them when it comes to typology. 4L is one of my favorite logical placements, right? Non-copy, unbothered, quite... They just don't really care. They go forward. They gather information. They're not pretentious. They're not arrogant and they're not reactive. They're not interested in circle jerking logic, right? So what I do, what you do, they're not interested in that. They're interested in taking the result and moving forward. Kind of not interested when it comes to unnecessary categories. They just want to get to the gist. They want to get the information raw and move forward. They basically focus on stuff that they deem important to help them achieve their agenda, to help them achieve their goal, right? There are many people in typology who are 4L, and the way they approach it is probably better than many other placements because they're asking questions, they want to learn, right? And they're not coping, so they're not going to be aggressive. You prove them wrong, they adapt to the information. It's very high adaptability to information. That's how I would describe 4L. Don't confuse them for dumb fucks. They aren't. They can be extremely inquisitive, having different interests, various interests, and they want to engage in people and communicate with others just without their circle jerking, right? As simple as they want to get the information, have a different point, talk to someone who has a different point of view and maybe learn something, maybe get something that they can use to succeed in whatever they do. More concrete, more grounded, not focus on abstraction or anything unnecessary that kind of clogs up the thinking process. Just make it nice and raw and simple and that's it, right? No circle jerking. Often factual and fact-oriented people, right? Because you want to gather the information and its result, you want to get the result and you don't really care about discussing it. Let's get the result. What is the result? Okay, sure, let's move on. Same mentality as 1L has, result orientation, that's just natural. It gives them a bit of that clarity in their thinking. That simplicity is actually beneficial because they're not going to waste time on things that are literally pointless or going in circles. 3L has that issue, right? Going in circles. 4L doesn't. 4L is going to read something. Okay, so what does this author say? Okay, yeah. What does this person say? Makes sense, sure. I'll stick to it. And that's it. They're not going to be going in circles as much, so there's much less self-confusion when it comes to 4L people. So as I was saying, they're not dumb. Now, if you ask me, 4L is a closeted genius. Same way you can be a closeted homosexual. Obviously, I ain't gonna ask, and I don't really care. An example of that many people do use is the movie Good Will Hunting. You see a character who seemingly should be a geek, seemingly should have a very high logical placement. He's a math genius, he knows everything better than all of those professors, he must be 1L. The reality is it's highly likely that he's probably not even 1L. Why? Because we see a complete disregard, lack of almost respect to intellect, lack of respect to the knowledge. He takes it completely for granted because there is an indifference to it. He doesn't understand why people care so much about it. It comes very natural to him and he doesn't really care about it. You know, he would rather do other stuff, be in a bar. He would rather be in a bar and get drunk than be a geek. Outside information, it seems unreliable. That's where the Big Daddy Dom 1L and 4L relationships come into play. Because the 1L feeds the information to the 4L accepts it. Okay, this is true. It makes sense. Moving on. Or 4L asks the 1L a question, he gets the answer because he's interested in answers. He's not there to circle jerk, go in circles and theorize. He just wants to know the answer and let's kind of see what happens. If you're confused if you're 3L or you're 4L, because I've known people who had this struggle, do you cope in logic? Is it aggressive? Because 4L is not aggressive. 4L doesn't push his opinions. 4L doesn't push his beliefs, his views, not at all. There's no aggressiveness in the realm of logic. They can have a good debate with you, a good discussion. they're not coping, they're not aggressive. Third logic, it can happen. They can be much more of that. Again, they want to prove that they're big daddy intellectuals too. Third logic wants to prove that. So they're gonna be back and forth. Maybe third logic is gonna be much more aggressive, much more reactive in the logical realm. They're kind of trying to prove that they know their shit. This is something that wouldn't happen with 4L. And 3L might be much more likely to engage in mental gymnastics, refuse information, even if it's true, because of their own kind of stubbornness, right? And inability to kind of adapt because of ego. That's simple as, because of ego. If you have any questions regarding 4L or anything else, let me know down below. I'm a bounce. Ciao.